Let me get started with some of the things that are happening in Panama, especially the vaccine rollout. It seems a little bit slower than your peer countries like El Salvador or Colombia even. Give us an assessment of where we're at.
Yes, so we're very proud of our vaccine efforts. We embarked with experts and scientific who decided which vaccine we should go for. So it was not a political or sort of like which one it's more convenient on pricing, but it was literally based on this expert team. About 70 to 80% of our portfolio is Pfizer, and we're very confident and comfortable with that. And even if we had a slower rollout at the beginning, we're expecting to a massive vaccination plan in the third quarter. So it's starting in July. So in just 4 weeks, we're going to have 5 million doses arrive in less than 2.5 months. So we will be one of the first countries in the continent that we expect to be completely out and in herd immunity by September.
How challenging has it been to procure these vaccines? Because I've heard from other high-profile politicians in Latin America, and they've had a really challenging time trying to get those shots.
I think that being proactive and starting way early, so this was a year ago when we started in this process, and it was unusual, and I think the bilateral negotiations also, I think, challenging for many countries, that this was not the normal way of doing and acquiring vaccines. I think Panama's approach of keeping it extremely sort of on a commercial or corporate basis, you get the people involved that know about vaccines, you get the people that negotiate, put us in a good position, and we're comfortable. Again, I know that other countries are acquiring different types of vaccine. We feel comfortable with the results that Pfizer has given, and we think that in the economic recovery, it will play out an important role.
Minister, have you reached out to the Biden administration to see if more vaccine supplies can be procured? Do you think the US or other countries should be doing more to support countries like Panama?
We have reached out as every other country. However, we are cognizant that there are countries that are worse off than Panama and many others that are really looking for those vaccines. So we've actually said that we are not interested in donations from vaccines. We want other countries that are in much greater need to get those vaccines. And we do think that it is important to address this sort of on a world scale and not individually. You have to make sure that we come out of this, everybody at the same time, because unless everybody is fully vaccinated, we're not going to get over the hill.
Panama had one of the worst economic contractions on record in the world last year, with a contraction of 18%. And as of March, we were still seeing negative growth in the country. And this was sort of starting from even pre-pandemic levels. What's the plan to rejuvenate growth? And is it possible to have Panama be an economic leader in the region again?
Yes, so we have very positive outlooks now with the IMF, with the economists looking at 9%, 11% GDP growth. And so we are fairly confident that as much as we took a hard hit on the COVID pandemic, that the recovery is going to be a steady one. There are a number of plans, from infrastructure, from tax credits, from making sure to address unemployment. And frankly, in the region, Panama is coming out as sort of the moderate, the centered, with some system that is actually attracting a lot of investors that throughout the region are finding sort of a calmer environment in Panama.
At a time when really the region faces many challenges, and as you said, there are so many other countries that are doing worse off than Panama, which has also led to a migration situation, right? We have Vice President Kamala Harris headed to Guatemala and Mexico to talk about the migration issues next week. What sort of conversations have you had with the Biden administration?
Yeah, so we're trying to get focus on a different type of migration, but equally important, and that's the one that we get from the South. These are from migrants from Haiti, from Cuba, from Africa, including Senegal, Nigeria. They all arrive in South America and they start making their way up. This is a type of migration that can be addressed, we think, in an easier and more straightforward manner than what is the Northern Triangle migration, for a very important one. We've seen numbers grow exponentially probably because of the pandemic and the closing and opening of borders. And we're reaching out not only to the Biden administration, but to all the countries in the South that are involved in this. They need to put their to play a role, to be accountable for what's happening, and to actually do something about it rather than looking the other way.
So what would you like to see from Vice President Harris when she's in LATAM next week?
So we're hoping that she comes down and she visits Panama and sees firsthand this type of migration, which is you can just, within an hour, we have migrant camps. Panama is the only country that provides not only food, health system, COVID testing, a number of services, but it's fairly easy to understand. This is our terrible situation to put the migrants to go through. The Darien jungle, it's a very dense forest. You can get bites from snakes, etc. So dealing with it properly now before it becomes a humanitarian crisis is the way to go.
Minister, you mentioned the need for greater infrastructure project investment as part of the revival. We had downgrades for Panama when it comes to all major rating agencies last year. How much does that potentially affect foreign investment, particularly when it comes to these big infrastructure investments like the $2 billion water project for the Panama Canal?
Yeah, so the financial community believes in Panama, and it's sort of like the proven and reliable partner. And it's not me saying this. You can see every single bond issuance from the government banks and private banks has been oversubscribed, sometimes 5 times. So you can see that the financial markets are reacting really well, even throughout the pandemic, and now as we're hoping to come out of it. So we are fairly confident of this positive outlook that is in our way.
And of course, you want the mining sector also to be a key driver of economic recovery. But at the same time, of course, we have those environmental concerns. You're actually at the United Nations on some protected water. So tell us a little bit about how Panama hopes to really address this.
Yeah, Panama is one of the 3 countries in the world that is carbon negative. And a lot of people do not associate Panama with this. There are countries that are striving to be carbon neutral in 10, 20 years. We're already carbon negative. And part of it is we have 30% of the country is reserve land, so you cannot build, construct, mine anything. And now we just announced on Monday that we're doing the same for our oceans. We're trying to shift also a lot of the attention, or including the attention besides rainforest, everything that's happening in the oceans. We're surrounded by oceans, so for us, it's sort of the natural way to go.